At 2:47 in the morning on October 20, 2025, deep within Russian territory, the Orinberg gas processing facility hummed with routine operations. This industrial complex, processing 500 million cubic feet of natural gas daily, represented a critical node in Russia's energy infrastructure, supplying enough fuel to heat Moscow through the harshest winter months. What Russian air defense operators monitoring their screens did not realize was that Ukrainian reconnaissance assets had maintained surveillance on their position for 112 minutes. In exactly 94 seconds, $300 million worth of strategic infrastructure would be reduced to rubble by a drone package costing less than $20,000. The question military analysts worldwide would ask was deceptively simple. How did Ukrainian forces penetrate Russia's sophisticated integrated air defense system? The answer reveals a fatal flaw in Russian defensive doctrine. If you found this story compelling, consider subscribing to our channel. Your support ensures you won't miss the next chapter, where we reveal even deeper insights and untold military operations. 4 hours before the Orinberg facility became a tactical objective achieved, a forward operations bunker near Kharkiv initiated the mission sequence. The Ukraine Geny-22 airborne unmanned aerial vehicle, a domestically produced platform with a 500-mile operational range, lifted off into deteriorating weather conditions. Powered by a Rotax 912 engine, the same reliable power plant used in civilian Cessna aircraft but modified for military applications, this aircraft represented Ukrainian innovation under wartime constraints. The mission payload consisted of 3 first-person view Wild Hornet strike drones, totaling 45 pounds of precision-guided ordnance, carefully calculated to remain under the mothership's 44-pound maximum payload capacity. Each Wild Hornet carried a 5-pound composition 4-shaped charge warhead, capable of penetrating 2 feet of reinforced concrete at temperatures exceeding 1,500 degrees Celsius. The Ukraine Geny-22 maintained a cruising speed of 124 miles per hour while hugging terrain contours at 100 feet above ground level. This flight profile was specifically designed to exploit a known limitation in Russian early warning radar systems, effectively rendering it invisible to their situational awareness picture. Ukrainian military planners designated this approach the Blizzard Phantom tactic, a methodology that exploited weather conditions as a force multiplier. Ukrainian meteorological analysis units, processing National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration satellite data with artificial intelligence algorithms, identified a severe weather system moving through the target area. This blizzard, featuring 40-mile-per-hour crosswinds and 6 inches of snowfall, would effectively mask both thermal and radar signatures of the approaching strike package. Russia's Nebo-M early warning radar system, while capable of scanning 370 miles in all directions, possessed a critical vulnerability. The system's processing algorithms struggled to differentiate low-altitude targets from ground clutter, particularly in heavy precipitation. This was not a minor technical limitation. It was a fundamental flaw in Russian air defense architecture that Ukraine was prepared to exploit ruthlessly. While Russian military leadership assumed their $500 million surface-to-air 400 missile system provided an impenetrable defensive umbrella, Ukrainian planners recognized it as an inflexible legacy system unable to adapt to emerging threats. The Russian military had invested enormous resources in defending against conventional aerial threats, but failed to adequately prepare for the proliferation of small, low-cost unmanned systems operating in the tactical environment. The Ukraine Geny-22's electronic warfare capabilities proved critical to mission success. Operator Viper, controlling the aircraft from a secure facility in Kyiv, managed the drone's 5 GHz data link, which employed frequency-hopping spread spectrum technology. This system cycled through 1,500 different frequencies per second, effectively defeating Russian Krasuka. 4 electronic warfare jamming systems. From the Russian perspective, their defensive posture appeared formidable. The Orinberg facility was protected by multiple overlapping layers of air defense systems. The Nebo-M radar provided early warning coverage. Sukhoi 35 flanker fighter aircraft maintained combat air patrols above the facility. Pantsir surface-to-air, 1-gun missile systems, each armed with 48 surface-to-air missiles and twin 30mm autocannons, stood ready to engage any aerial threat. Commander Bear, the Russian officer responsible for air defense coordination at Orenburg, monitored his displays with confidence. The surface-to-air 400 system, centerpiece of Russian air defense doctrine, had cost $500 million to deploy at this single location. Its 92 November 6 Echo radar could theoretically track 300 targets simultaneously across multiple altitude bands. However, the system possessed a blind spot that Russian military planners had consistently underestimated: low-altitude clutter discrimination in adverse weather conditions. The surface-to-air 400 had been designed to engage high-value aerial targets at medium to high altitude. Its engagement envelope was optimized for shooting down fighter aircraft, bombers, and cruise missiles. The system's radar processing algorithms filtered out returns below 200 feet altitude, classifying them as ground clutter. This design decision created a vulnerability that Ukrainian tactical planners had identified and prepared to exploit. At 350 miles into Russian airspace, the Ukraine Geny-22 reached its first designated checkpoint. The mothership's payload bay opened, releasing one first-person view Wild Hornet drone. Rather than immediately proceeding toward the target, this drone executed a deliberate climb to 500 feet altitude while broadcasting an amplified radar cross-section signal, mimicking the radar signature of approximately 50 large birds in formation flight. The Russian surface-to-air 400 systems processors, designed to filter natural phenomena from actual threats, began allocating computational resources to analyzing this anomalous radar return. This processing overhead was precisely what Ukrainian planners had intended. While Russian air defense systems wasted processing cycles tracking a phantom threat, the actual strike package continued its approach below the radar horizon. The Ukraine Geny-22, maintaining its flight path below 100 feet altitude, used the blizzard's atmospheric disturbance to scatter and absorb enemy radar emissions. The aircraft's artificial intelligence navigation system adjusted the flight path to exploit optimal radar masking conditions within the storm system. The first-person view drones employed inertial navigation systems with ring laser gyroscopes, providing accurate position information even when global positioning system signals were degraded or jammed. This technological advantage represented a fundamental shift in the economics of military conflict. A $20,000 drone package was systematically defeating a $500 million integrated air defense system. At 2:46 in the morning, 90 seconds of radio silence commenced as Russian electronic warfare operators unleashed their Krasuka-4 system at maximum power output. A 100-meter wide wave of electromagnetic energy saturated the target area, specifically targeting the radio frequency bands used for unmanned aerial vehicle control and telemetry. On Operator Viper's display in Kyiv, the high-definition video feed from the Ukraine Geny-22 dissolved into static interference. The control link had been severed. For conventional unmanned aerial vehicles, this scenario represents mission failure. However, Ukrainian military engineers had anticipated this exact contingency. The Ukraine Geny-22 and its first-person view payloads incorporated a custom artificial intelligence guidance processor. The instant the radio link was interrupted, the artificial intelligence chip assumed flight control, switching the aircraft to full inertial navigation mode. Using solid-state ring laser gyroscopes and accelerometers, the system continued flying its pre-planned route by calculating velocity and direction changes with extreme precision. While electromagnetic radiation can be jammed, the fundamental laws of physics governing inertial reference systems cannot be disrupted by electronic warfare. After 90 agonizing seconds of communications blackout, the Ukraine Geny-22 cleared the jamming zone. Operator Viper's display flickered back to operational status. He had regained control, but Russian air defense operators now possessed confirmation that an attack was underway. Commander Bear, recognizing that his electronic warfare systems had detected but not destroyed the incoming threat, ordered his Panzer surface-to-air 1 batteries to execute blind suppressive fire at the last known position of the decoy drone. This was a desperate tactical decision, revealing the limitations of Russian air defense doctrine when confronted with distributed autonomous threats. At 10 miles from the target, the Ukraine Geny-22 executed its terminal attack profile. 2 first-person view Wild Hornet drones separated from the mothership, each programmed with distinct mission parameters. The first Wild Hornet, designated as the decoy, climbed rapidly to 500 feet altitude while broadcasting amplified phantom radar returns. This created a digital smokescreen that forced Russian air defense systems to allocate tracking and engagement resources against non-existent threats. The second Wild Hornet, carrying the mission's primary warhead, dove to 20 feet above ground level. Its 5-pound Composition 4-shaped charge was now locked onto its designated target, an 800-foot storage silo containing approximately 1 million pounds of compressed methane gas. Ukrainian intelligence analysts had identified this specific silo as a critical node in Russia's natural gas distribution network. Russian air defense systems were now fully alert and attempting to engage. The Panzer surface-to-air 1 system's 30mm autocannons opened fire, spitting 5,000 rounds per minute into the blizzard. The gun crews were firing blind into a whiteout, attempting to hit a target smaller than a briefcase, traveling at 120 miles per hour through a snowstorm. Operator Viper, controlling the strike drone from 400 miles away, watched his display with absolute concentration. Every micro-adjustment of his control inputs translated into violent course corrections as the drone fought through 40-mile-per-hour crosswinds. Commander Bear's voice crackled across Russian military radio nets. "It is below the radar coverage. This cannot be happening." His $500 million surface-to-air 400 system, designed to engage fifth-generation stealth fighters, was choking on a 15-pound drone streaking through a blizzard. The system's engagement algorithms, optimized for large, fast-moving aerial platforms, could not process a target executing evasive maneuvers through severe weather. 30 seconds to impact. Operator Viper's thumbs made micro-corrections on his control interface, compensating for crosswinds that threatened to push the drone off its attack vector. The Pantsir fire control system, rated to track 80 targets per second, was still allocating processing resources to phantom contacts from the decoy drone. 10 seconds. Operator Viper's display showed the silo looming large. Viper flicked the arming switch. Final approach. Warhead armed. The drone's artificial intelligence targeting system locked the 5-pound Composition 4-shaped charge onto the silo's structural weak point. The screen shook as the drone screamed through the final 100 feet, dodging tracer fire with the precision of a Formula racing car. 0. Impact. A white flash consumed Operator Viper's display, followed by an earth-shattering roar. The 5-pound Composition 4-shaped charge, engineered according to the Monroe effect principle, compressed explosive force into a copper cone that generated a molten jet traveling at 25,000 feet per second. This kinetic energy penetrated 2 feet of reinforced concrete in 0.1 seconds. At 1500 degrees Celsius, the molten copper jet ignited the compressed methane, triggering a pressure wave exceeding 2,000 pounds per square inch that obliterated 80% of the silo's structural integrity in milliseconds. The chain reaction was merciless. 3 adjacent storage silos erupted in sympathetic detonation, flames soaring 1,000 feet into the night sky. Natural gas ignited across a 2-mile radius, creating an inferno that would burn for 3 days. Commander Bear was thrown from his chair as alarm systems screamed their futile warning. The $500 million surface-to-air 400 system, outsmarted by a $20,000 drone package, had proven tactically irrelevant. The economic implications of this single strike were staggering. 40% of Kazakhstan's natural gas processing capacity, representing 200 million cubic feet of daily output, vanished overnight. This supply disruption cratered Russia's position in the $1 trillion global energy market. The return on investment was obscene. A $20,000 drone package had destroyed infrastructure worth 15,000 times its cost. Moscow's heating distribution grid faced an immediate 20% reduction in available natural gas supplies. Russian citizens in major urban areas would experience heating, rationing, a politically devastating development for a government that had promised stability. But the damage extended far beyond economic metrics. Protests erupted in Moscow as citizens faced cold apartments and demanded accountability. Allied nations like Kazakhstan began openly questioning Russia's reliability as an energy partner. Ukraine's demonstration of asymmetric capability earned immediate North Atlantic Treaty Organization recognition and additional military aid pledges. The military impact proved equally devastating. Russia's offensive operations in the Donbass region decreased by 15% as fuel shortages, grounded armored vehicles, and starved artillery unit. Ukraine gained critical weeks to regroup and reinforce defensive positions. The psychological impact on Russian military forces was immediate. Troops began speaking in hushed tones about ghost drones that could strike anywhere without warning. Morale, already fragile, crumbled further. Ukrainian operators, by contrast, celebrated their achievement, proving that intellectual rigor and tactical creativity could defeat opponents with vastly superior resources. From a forward operations bunker 400 miles from the target, Ukrainian technical specialists bankrupted Russia's winter energy security using a drone assembled from commercially available components. The Orinberg gas processing facility, Russia's $500 million nerve center, was reduced to smoking rubble in under 1 minute. Russia's vaunted integrated air defense systems, representing billions of dollars in investment, had been systematically defeated by budget-conscious drone operations and artificial intelligence applications. This strike was not merely a tactical success, it represented a strategic paradigm shift in modern military operations. Ukraine's military planners are already developing follow-on operations, identifying additional high-value targets throughout Russia's strategic depth. What remains undeniable is that Ukraine has fundamentally rewritten the rules of engagement for 21st-century warfare. Small, inexpensive autonomous systems can defeat large, expensive conventional forces when employed with proper intelligence preparation, tactical innovation, and operational audacity. This lesson will be studied in military academies for generations to come. a textbook example of asymmetric warfare executed with surgical precision and devastating effect. If you found this story compelling and want to explore more powerful moments in modern military aviation, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us bring you deeper insights and real stories from the front lines. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay safe and take care. Goodbye for now.